I've been a huge fan of DxO's NIC collection for many years. It's just been a fantastic piece of software. I've also taken a look at DxO's PhotoLab 9, and I'll link to the review I did of it right up here if you're interested in seeing that. And I've saved the absolute best for last. What I'm going to share with you in this video changes everything, and I mean that literally. Now, before I get into it, I will say that DxO provided this software to me at no charge, but they didn't tell me what to say. They didn't sponsor the video. I'm not getting paid for any of my comments or this review. What we're going to be talking about today is DxO's PureRaw 6. The premise behind DxO's PureRaw is just really simple and basic. It's designed to be used at the very beginning of your workflow before you do any editing whatsoever. Basically, you're going to take your raw files from your memory card and you're going to pull them into DxO PureRaw, and then it is going to apply a set of presets that you choose, and it's going to output those as a DNG file that you will then pull into Lightroom or whatever editing software that you use, and then process your photographs normally from that point. So this is the interface for DxO's PureRaw. I've already downloaded some sample files that we're going to use for this, and we're going to add images. It's up here in the upper right, like that. And then I'm going to just select all of them, and we're going to add the photos. Now, these aren't mine. These are provided by DxO. I've already done a lot with mine, but this is just a little bit easier. It shows a wider variety of photographs and stuff probably outside my wheelhouse that I wouldn't normally photograph. So one of the first things you're going to see when you use the software, it's going to come up with this DxO modules. DxO has spent a lot of time creating these profiles to work with a specific camera and a specific lens, that combination together. Not just lenses, not just cameras, but that combination. So these are extremely accurate, probably the most accurate that I've seen. It will prompt you to download those latest profiles. You do it once and you're done. And we just click save, and it's going to download those very, very quickly, and it will be able to apply those profiles as far as chromatic aberration, lens distortion, and all of that will get applied automatically. This video is not designed to be an in-depth tutorial. It's just going to be an overview and a comparison so you can see the difference between the raw files straight out of a camera versus those that have been processed with DxO's PureRaw. And I think it's going to show you why I think it's worth a serious consideration to add to your workflow. So here are the images that I've just imported, and again, these aren't mine. These are just sample images that are provided by DxO. So we click this very first one here, and we only have a couple of choices. The software doesn't have a whole lot of bells and whistles as far as like buttons and numerous menus and all that stuff. It's really, really streamlined to get you where you need to be and get those raw files into your processing software. So I'm going to click this first one here, and we have two choices. We have process with preview and just process. So once you've got your settings dialed, you're probably going to use the exact same ones time and time and time again. So you would just click process, and it's just going to do all of the things that you've already decided. But if you're going to do one at a time, or you need to make changes to your settings or your output that you want, then you would say process with preview. So we click on this, and it'll come up and it'll give us like a before and after, and also show us all of our little options over here on the right hand side. So over on the right hand side, you're going to see all of our choices, all of our options that we can do to set up for the processing of these raw files. So we've got two choices on the denoising, which is absolutely fantastic, but also just cleaning up the image and making it as good as it possibly can be. There's Deep Prime 3 and Deep Prime XD3. Just take my word for it. Use Deep Prime XD3. It's the latest, greatest. It used to be only available for Fuji cameras and specific ones at that, and now they've made it available so it doesn't matter what kind of raw file, where it came from, if it's Sony, if it's Canon, Nikon, doesn't matter. This is the one that you're going to want to use. Why would you want to use something that's not as good? I don't even know why it's an option, but pick the XD3. This next panel is optical corrections, and this is where all those profiles come into play that we just downloaded. Lens sharpness optimization is how much is it going to apply some sharpening. And I've found for me, since my Sony camera is really sharp, my lenses are really sharp, I found that the best for me is soft. That's the one that I like, and the intensity at the default of 75. You can go strong, you can go hard, which is all the way at 200, and I would say maybe that would be something you would use if your image is really out of focus. But for me, the soft, the 75 setting seems to be a really nice sweet spot. The next is vignetting, and that's based on the lens and the focal length that you're shooting at, and then chromatic aberration, and then lens distortion. And again, it's based on those profiles that we downloaded, and you have a couple of choices in this drop-down. When it makes its correction, and it fixes that distortion based on your focal length, etc., you can crop it to the original ratio, so it gets rid of any areas that it might be black based on the correction that it has to inflict, or you can do the maximum rectangle or the complete image area. If you do the complete image area, you might get where the correction has been applied and there'll be a black band. So I highly recommend that you go to either original ratio or maximum rectangle. And the last option that we even have is down here at the very bottom, and it's retouch, and only option that we have is dust removal. And this works fantastic. If you've got dust on your sensor, you got a dirty sensor, that kind of thing, it does a fantastic job. You don't have to worry about it later. You just keep this on, turn it on, and just let it go. And it's going to take care of any dust spots that you might have. Let's take a look at this sample image of this bird that was taken at ISO 25600 at f5.6. We're using the Deep Prime XD3, and the great thing about it when we're doing this preview process with preview is that we can actually see the difference. So on the left is the original RAW file, and it's noisy. It is very noisy. As we move this slider, take a look what Prime XD3 does to this image. It's absolutely fantastic. The detail that it brings out, the sharpness, but it doesn't look over sharpened or just ridiculously crunchy. It looks really, really good. And the noise is just obliterated. It is absolutely gone. We can change this, and we'll see if we can see a difference here between the the Deep Prime XD3 and just Deep Prime 3. What you're going to notice, it's subtle, but again, the XD3 is just better. You're going to see that the backgrounds, and hopefully YouTube will be able to show in. I'll zoom in a little bit more for you. But the Deep Prime 3 is going to be a little bit noisier in the background. So what we'll do is I want to give you the view of the bird. This is XD3. We're going to go to Deep Prime 3 and let it update. And you can see that the noise is just more prevalent here than it is if we go to Deep Prime XD3. And then we've got our sharpness optimization. We're going to go through these real quick as well. So this is the right-hand side. We're still looking at the altered photograph. We're going to go to the hard. And it starts to get really crunchy because, again, the image wasn't really soft. It was just noisy. And we see on the bird's feathers here in the eye and around the top of it and the beak, at hard, at that intensity, it's just a lot. So we can back that off. We can do custom amount. We can actually just put it where we want it. And if our image is already pretty sharp and we don't want to do anything, we don't have to. That's why I use soft, because I think that is the perfect sweet spot to just sharpen it enough, because my images are already going to be pretty dang sharp right out of the camera, but that soft just gives it that little extra oomph, especially if I'm shooting at an aperture that may not be the sharpest for my lens. If I'm shooting at f16 instead of f8 or f11, then by using that soft sharpening optimization, it's going to just make it fantastic. Let's take a look at this next image where we're going to look at the lens distortion correction. So this is, again, another RAW file that was provided via DxO. And this is the unoptimized before RAW file. This is the original RAW that we're looking at. So we have Deep Prime XD3 selected. We have our sharpness optimization, vignetting, chromatic aberration, and our lens distortion on. And again, it's already downloaded those profiles. So as we're looking here at this opera house or this theater that's obviously done with a wide angle lens, as we swipe over, we're going to see a dramatic transformation happen. we can see that that center, especially the center, it does a really good job of correcting that distortion in the image as we move back and forth. It does a really, really nice job. And I've also have it with the image cropped to the original ratio. If we select complete image area, you'll notice we've got this black area, this black band that I was talking about, because that happens when you're shooting with a really, really wide angle, because it's a fisheye. When it corrects that distortion, something has to give. And so if you wanted to keep all of the image as you had shot it, then you would need to use, like I say, some type of generative AI or fill in Photoshop in order to fill in those blank areas. Otherwise, you can just pick image crop to original ratio and it'll fix it that way. Or you can say maximum rectangle, which may or may not end up being the exact ratio that you shot it at, depending on where those blank areas are. We're gonna look at just one more image that DxO provided. I wanted to show you this because it really highlights the sharpening aspect of the software. So let's zoom in to 100% here. And then we see our little branch that the hummingbird is sitting on, and these fine, fine hairs that are here along with this little part of the stem. And if we go through our sharpness, this is a custom, it's 0 right now. I just moved it all the way down. As we move through it, let's go to soft. And now we'll take and go half so we can kind of see this. Like this, something maybe like this. Soft, standard, and watch right here with these little fine hairs on this little branch. Strong, and then hard. And I will swipe back and forth so you can really see how it brings out the detail in this, especially up in here. I mean, it brings out little fibers that weren't even really visible in the original RAW file right in here. You can see the ends of the fibers here that you couldn't see in the original RAW file. I think it just does a really, really good job. In addition to this, the basic panel here that we've been spending a lot of time on, there is a very, very basic masking tool that allows you to constrain your edits to specific parts of your image. But this is basic. I mean, it's only going to be a brush mask. You can adjust the flow and the feather and the size and the opacity, but that's about it. You can't intersect. You can also invert, but you can't intersect or do any kind of smart masking or luminosity or shapes or objects or animals or none of that. For me, I am never going to use that. Don't really need it. I would do all of those local adjustments in Lightroom because the masking there is spectacular. The other thing though is very, very, very important, and that is the export module here, this little export button that allows you to set your parameters and how you want to take this file into the next step. And we have several options that are worth talking about. And the very first one I think is the most important. Output format that I choose is DNG, which is just a digital negative. It's still going to be a RAW file, but you have the option to do high fidelity compression. We know that as cameras grow and the megapixels get bigger and bigger and bigger, those RAW files get larger and larger and larger. And it's not just a matter of storage, which is still pretty cheap. It's also a matter of how much computing power and time it takes when you're having to load in a very, very large file versus a much smaller file. So time, space savings, all of those savings add up to me. And so I've been doing for the last few months, I've been doing a lot of testing between, you know, the uncompressed and the high fidelity compression. And for me, I can't tell the difference. It's indistinguishable when you're looking at it at 100%. It's absolutely no difference. It loads faster as a compressed high fidelity compression file. The file size is way reduced. So the last couple of things we're going to look at is, in addition to our DNG, we can also output as a TIFF, JPEG, or a smart object that'll open directly into Photoshop, which is really, really, really nice. You'll notice here we've got tonal enhancement, DxO Smart Lighting. This is only going to be available if you export it as a TIFF or JPEG. So let's take a look at this dark image here. And if I you'll notice it's grayed out. But if I change this to a TIFF, I can turn this on. If I turn it on, we'll see that it just bumps everything up. It brightens up my trees, pulls up those shadows a little bit, and does a nice job between that and that. It's just a little bit of processing. I never use it. I'm going to do all my editing on my own in Lightroom, but it's there if you just need a quick starting point. The next thing is you can decide where you want to put the file as it exports it. You can rename it, which I think is really, really important because it'll tell the difference between the raw files that you've processed with PureRaw and those that you haven't. And then you can change your ICC profile, and then you can open it in an application when you're done if you want to. You can have it to open up in Lightroom Classic in the library module. You can do just Lightroom CC if you use that, Photoshop, or DxO's Photo Lab 9. And you also have an option to select your own software, whatever you would prefer. That's going to wrap up this week's video and my thoughts on DxO's PureRaw 6. I absolutely love it. It's changed the way I do all of my work. Every single photograph is run through DxO's PureRaw 6 and improves my raw files and makes them smaller and faster to work with. It's a win-win-win. There'll be a discount code in the description below should you decide you would like to purchase a copy of your own. I appreciate you watching the video. Please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It really, really does help my channel out. Don't forget to take a look at my website, www.jamesparkerphoto.com, to see what workshops I've got on offer. I'm currently working on doing Iceland again next year, so if you're somebody that's wanted to go this year but just couldn't make it work, if you're interested, drop me a line because I am working on setting that up for next summer. Yes, that's 2027, August of 2027. If you want to do a workshop with me right here in the Pacific Northwest, no problem. I've got you covered. Although my schedule is pretty packed between now and like October. But between October and November, I do have a little bit of time. So if you'd like to get out with me and do some photography, I would love to show you my neck of the woods. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.